Hello Internet, and welcome to my review for Sword Art Online Alicization's season finale, episode 24. When we last left off, Eugeo turned into a sword, because that worked, and took out Quinella's arm, but also got bisected in the process, leaving him near death. We find out he's not quite dead, this week. He will be by episode's end, though. And leaving Kirito the last one standing against Quinella, which leads us into this week's episode. Before that, though, just a reminder, I have my Spring 2019 anime review straw poll in the description down below, so go down, fill that out, let me know what you want to see me cover next season, which starts the day after tomorrow. But the straw poll will be up until the 15th, though, so you have time to watch some spring shows and then vote, you know? But yeah, let's jump right on in to the season finale. So we find out, the first thing, even before the opening, is that it seems like Kirito has gotten a handle on whatever made him end up in his SAO gear during his, one-shot blast against Chudelkin. Because he dons it at the start of this episode and stays in it for the rest of the fight with Quinella. Speaking of Quinella, so I've been theorizing for a good long while now that Quinella is in contact with someone from the outside world. This episode confirms it later on, once Quinella's lost and she tries to escape to the real world. The outside world, I should say. But it's actually confirmed earlier on, as once Quinella knows about Vertical Square, Kirito's first assumption is that she knows that from having Eugeo's memories when he was in Integrity Knight. But she knows sword skills or she's aware of sword skills that Kirito did not teach Eugeo, which was, to me, the first 100% confirmation that she is in contact with the outside world. That that person she's been alluding to is someone from the outside world. A part of me wants to say that person is related to the military guys from episode's end. But we'll get to that later, because that's a holy shit scene. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Eugeo is not quite dead yet. He will be, though. Don't worry. And him giving the last of his energy to give Kirito the blue rose sword, or the red rose sword, by the scene's end, is just so fucking beautiful. Like, I love Eugeo so fucking much, and he deserved better than to be killed by Quinella. That being said, there's this moment where Kirito and Eugeo go into this, mind space place. And Eugeo was like, oh yeah, you were born in Rulid with me and Alice, and we knew each other for 10 years. And Kirito doesn't really react. He says, oh yeah, I just remembered that, is what he says. And so him not really being surprised by that is really weird to me. It would be one thing if he had already figured it out, once he realized how fast the Soul Translator was going. You know, the whole 1,000 time Fluctlight acceleration. If at that point he had realized, oh, the week or so, or however long he spent in the outside world, in the underworld, I spent that long in here, so clearly that must have been 10 years. But he distinctively says that he just remembered that too, so it was a little odd. That'll be the start of our odd things that happen on Eugeo's deathbed. Before then, though, the final battle. So Kirito stands up, now dual-wielding, which feels so good to see Kirito dual-wields again, right? He has not done that since fucking, I imagine he did it in Alfheim during Mother's Rosario, when he was, protecting the Sleeping Knights and Asuna and all that stuff. But we haven't really seen him go at it with dual-wielding in a long time, because it's not a part of Alicization. But he stands up to Quinella, my point. And his eyes flash yellow for a hot sec. It's not brought up at all. It just happens, and I'm not quite sure why. I don't think Eugeo's eyes are yellow, and if they aren't that bright shade of yellow. But it's just weird. Hopefully it'll get brought up next season. But the final battle happens. The animation is phenomenal. It's so fluid. It's so incredible. They pulled out really all the stops for this. It's not even a long fight. It's maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. But it's just so kinetic. It feels so intense for those 2 or 3 minutes. Until Kirito stabs Quinella in the arm, and Quinella stabs Kirito in the arm. They both lose their arms. Quinella is now armless. Kirito has one arm. And I love the attention to detail here, because Kirito stabbed Quinella with the wooden Giga Cedar sword, because she's impervious to metal. As it turns out, first off, we find out Quinella has hair powers, which is weird. She can control her hair and is mentioned exactly 0 times before she does it, but whatever, I can accept that. That's a super minor thing. But I was about to rescind my compliment about the attention to detail with Quinella being stabbed with the wooden sword. But apparently the red rose sword that, like, actually does her in at the end, is it metal? Like, my first thought was, oh, she was stabbed by the red rose sword. I guess she's not actually impervious to metal or something. I don't know. But what's it made of? We see the blade. The blade disappears after it stabs her, leaving Kirito with just the hilt. So maybe it was like frozen blood or something? I don't know. That's not really explained. I don't think it's going to be explained, but it wasn't metal, so that's a thing. Maybe the books go in more detail. But anyway, here's to the episode's first real hiccup. So, essentially, Quinella just has this gigantic hole in her chest, thanks to the red rose sword stabbing her. And she realizes that she does not... that all the resources that are left in the room are not enough to heal her. So she leaves to the real world, probably to, like, meld with that robot we saw a long while back. But as she's leaving, Chudelkin, who is against all odds somehow still fucking alive, tries to go with her, and sets himself on fire for some reason, which ends up being what kills Quinella. So I don't like this choice for a lot of reasons. Not only do they tease us with Quinella impacting the outside world, which is a great idea, and was kind of what I kind of felt this whole arc was building to, you know, both the stress tests that'll come later, but, you know, with all, like, the little moments of the robot that Asuna sees with Higa, you know, like, oh, Quinella's gonna get in there, and then she's gonna, like, try to take over the world or something. That'll be the next part of the season. Or, like, season 4 or whatever. But that doesn't happen, because Chudelkin burns himself alive for some reason. Like, I get what Chudelkin would try to escape with Quinella, of course, that makes sense. But why burn himself alive? Like, the only possible reason I can think of is that it was just, like, the only way he would be able to make it to the pillar. Was, like, to, like, use some fire to, like, burst himself there, and then just got out of control, and then he died, and took Quinella with him, I guess. I don't know, it just didn't really work for me at all. Chudelkin should just fucking stay dead. Chudelkin should have never been born, if we're being honest, because he's just the worst. But yeah, that's the end of Quinella, which is a really... I mean, maybe it's saying something that that this, you know, person who thought so highly of herself is done in by this fucking beach ball clown man. But I don't know. Anyway, back to good things. So we find out that way back when, in episode 19, I think, when Quinella was converting Eugeo into an Integrity Knight, she showed him this image of Kirito and Alice having some kind of secret love affair, is what she framed it as. So put into Eugeo this idea that no one's ever loved him fully, you know, yada yada yada. But we find out it was actually them making Eugeo a wooden sword for his birthday. That is so sweet. That is so nice. I love them so much. The Roulette trio is great. It's too bad that 2 of them die in this episode. Yeah, we need to talk about Eugeo's death. On a surface level, it's so sweet. I was crying, not gonna lie. I was like, Eugeo and all that, right? But it would have been much better if, instead of Eugeo choosing to die, which was really weird, and his reasons are super flimsy, I'll get into that in a little bit, Kirito just, if Kirito just did not have the life left to save him, because he's, like, missing the arm and all, that would have made much more sense for why Eugeo, could not survive. Because Eugeo's motives for letting himself die just aren't the best. Like, I know, from what I've heard, in the book, much more so than the anime, he's obsessed with this idea of, like, him being too weak to resist Quinella, and, like, you know, he absolutely fucked up, like, unforgivably by becoming an Integrity Knight. So that would be one thing. I would get him giving up his own life to atone for his sins as Synthesis 32. But to sacrifice Zuberg? You know, he wraps it up in, like, oh, we'd have to fight, the 2 of us would fight over Zuberg and Synthesis 30. Which brings up, like, what does Alice think about this? Because we saw Synthesis 30 is not exactly perfectly fine with dying to become Zuberg. but she sees it as the right thing to do. So I feel like she should have had a say in this discussion at all, but she's unconscious as these two decide her life for her, which is But also, Eugeo's done all this to save Zuberg, to bring Alice Zuberg back to life, and then at the end he just gives up on it. I don't know. That just does not really seem like Eugeo, and it's a dark mark on an otherwise stellar character arc. Especially once they pulled off the Ginchi Shirazu "I can't see you while I'm dying" moment. Oh god damn. Shirazu is my favorite of the Quinxes back in Ghoul, and this hurt just as much. Everything after that, though, is wild. So Kirito finally calls Wrath, right as they're in the middle of some kind of firefight with some sort of military that is not explained in the slightest. The military, I think, is trying to steal the Light Cube cluster that has all the artificial Flecklights, I imagine. But doing so, they're going to cut this power line that will fry Kirito's Flecklight, which is very bad, very not good. So Kikuoka tells Kirito to take Alice to some place called the World's End Altar in the Eastern Empire, I think. Then some beam of light strikes down. We see Asuna's SAO form descend in some kind of weird glitchy way. Kirito calls her name, cue credits, season end. Just like that. I don't know how to process any of that. Anything that happens with Wrath, I don't know at all. We'll have to wait until season 4 in fucking October. 6 months to wait. But yeah, that was the season finale. This was a wild ride of the finale. Seeing Kirito dual wield again, great. The Red Rose Sword, great. Animation in the final battle, super great. Whatever the fuck Chudelkin did, not great, but it's great that he's fucking dead. Eugeo's death, fucking tragic, but also great. Though that was not without its hiccups, again, with all the him sacrificing Alice. Those last 5 minutes, I don't even know, y'all. I got no clue. This season was also a trip. Like, it was not without its flaws, I admit. The extreme exclusion of the rest of the supporting cast. They showed up in episode 5, and that was it. Which is more than the books did, from my memory. Like, it's a trend in the series that Kirito always goes off on his own each new arc, and the rest of the cast doesn't really do all that much. But, like, it's worse than usual here. Chudelkin's whole thing was also not good. Episode 10. But the rest of it is so good. Eugeo is a precious soul who deserved the world and is the greatest thing Reki Kawahara ever has written or will write. You can fight me on that. Eugeo alone makes this season phenomenal. Let's be honest. Then, like, all the fucking Integrity Knight fights. Just the climb up the tower up until the wall breaks. Holy shit. Some of the best fights SAO has ever given us. Oh my god, those were all so incredible. As was, Eugeo versus Berkuli, and Kirito versus Eugeo, and then the final fight with Quinella. The animation was on point this season. Holy shit. We were, I will admit, robbed of some of the interesting moral quandaries we were promised, like what to do with the two Alices. When Eugeo just kind of, like, decides to die for Synthesis 30, which, okay, I guess. The more I think about that, the less happy I am that they did that, both because I love Eugeo, of course, but also because, like, it just seems less in character and just less interesting to get rid of that, idea, I guess. I don't know. But overall, this was a fantastic season that, especially in the second half, gave us some of the action highlights of the series, all while giving us the franchise's new best character. What the show will be like without Eugeo in October, I am scared to think of. But with that, that's all I have to say for this season, so I'll see y'all in October. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode, the season, the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Fill out my straw poll down below if you would. Or, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. That's a lie. I absolutely fucking care. Please subscribe. Please let me know what you think of I don't know. Have a good life. I don't know. See you in October. Bye.